One of the really interesting things we're seeing over the last week has been this reversal from much of the Republican Party about the Ukraine-Russia situation. And early, you saw a bunch of right-wingers, including Trump, Tucker Carlson, Tulsi Gabbard, who claims to be on the left, but we know she's not, sort of defend Vladimir Putin. And that did not go super well. A lot of Republicans just weren't buying it because it's completely implausible that we should be supporting Vladimir Putin. So now they're sort of switching to supporting Ukraine. And one aspect of this is that now many people who have been against NATO for a while are switching to talk about how great NATO is. And the sort of most notable bullet point about this is that Donald Trump is now taking credit for NATO's existence, even though for much of his presidency, he wanted to end NATO and get the U.S. out of it and just completely take it apart. Rolling Stone's Peter Wade has a good piece of this called Trump, who wanted to withdraw the U.S. from NATO, now claims credit for its existence. There would be no NATO if I didn't act strongly and swiftly, the former president said. He put out this statement, or, it was put out by his relatively new spokeswoman, Liz Harrington. He put this out yesterday, and the statement reads, "I hope everyone is able to remember that it was me." I mean, it's literally like a little kid. It was me as president of the United States that got delinquent NATO members to start paying their dues, which amounted to hundreds of billions of dollars. There would be no NATO if I didn't act strongly and swiftly, which is a laughable claim. NATO was very strongly in existence before Trump became president. There was no sign NATO was going away. Trump adding also, I mean, Trump did everything good, I guess, guys. Also, it was me that got Ukraine the very effective anti-tank buster javelins when the previous administration was sending blankets. Let history so note. Now, of course, revisionist history is not unusual when it comes to Donald Trump. And you need only go back to an article, I mean, in this case, from January of 2019, from Vanity Fair by Eric Lutz, which reported that Donald Trump privately discussed destroying the NATO alliance. The president repeatedly told aides that he wanted to withdraw the United States from the alliance, the New York Times reports. Trump has long criticized NATO, frequently bellyaching that the military partnership has been unfair to the U.S. and on and on and on. However, it appears Trump's attacks on NATO are more than bluster. Citing senior administration officials, the New York Times reported late Monday, again, this is January 2019, that at several points in 2018, Trump discussed withdrawing the U.S. from the international organization, a move that would effectively doom the 29-nation alliance and empower Russia, which has spent years seeking to weaken it. So understand the absurdity of this. Trump now is taking credit for NATO because NATO is so involved in supporting Ukraine against Russia. What Trump actually was threatening to do and thinking about doing during his presidency was pulling out of NATO altogether, which would have crippled it. And of course, his people will praise the flip-flop as the absolute truth and say everybody else is brainwashed if you don't accept Trump's lies. Now, remember that this is a common thing that Donald Trump does. He told people originally that the vaccine is something he created and gets credit for it. And of course, that's not true. Then he played coy with anti-vax, talking about freedom and all these different things. And then his supporters didn't get the vaccine. And then he flipped again and says, well, I get credit for it. And his supporters, they do both. They see, or maybe they don't accept, the absurd contrast and contradiction in Trump's claims about vaccines. And yet they don't care. They still support the guy. And it's very similar when it comes to NATO. And it's really important to understand the degree to which this guy is a liar, and so are his followers. Not only did Trump constantly attack NATO, which aligns him with Putin. Remember, Putin's one of the big antagonists of NATO. And when Trump was president, he aligned himself with the antagonists of NATO. Remember that Trump also froze U.S. aid to Ukraine. I mean, remember the entire Ukraine thing, the impeachment and everything? Trump wanted dirt on Biden from Ukraine. And he initially said, we're not giving them the aid until they get me the dirt. Now, eventually pressure became so great that Trump did have to release that military aid. And now he wants us to believe he's always been the big defender of NATO. And it's actually thanks to him that NATO even exists. We all see through it. But unfortunately, many of his followers don't. And that's what I want to talk about next. One of our longtime sponsors is Monk Pack, giving you 20% off Monk Pack's keto nut and seed bars, which taste just like your favorite sweet snacks, but without the guilt, because they have only 1 gram of sugar, 2 to 3 net carbs, and 150 calories. A great snack if you're doing keto, if you're doing low carb, and if you just want a low sugar snack. I love the Monk Pack nut and seed bars. Great balance of sweet and salty, satisfyingly crunchy, soft and chewy. Because I like these so much, I use Monk Pack's subscription feature, sends them straight to my house on a regular basis, and saves me 10%. If you don't love Monk Pack as much as I do, they will refund you all your money. I think there's a really good chance Monk Pack nut and seed bars become your favorite go-to snack. Monk Pack is giving you 20% off your first order. Go to monkpack.com and enter the code PACMAN at checkout.